Down, down. What's up, everybody? You are tuned into season 2 of the Elks Call presented by Shotgun Sports. My name is Scout, aka the rep from Section X.
And I'm Catherine, aka Do Even Elks.
And today we are joined by number 13, defensive back for the Edmonton Elks. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Jake Taylor.
What's up?
Jake, thanks a lot for your time today, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, always great to see you. I know we got a good chat in there at Fan Day. I mean, despite you being on the 6th game, how has the season been so far?
It's been good. I've really been enjoying watching McLeod out there. He's been doing our offense pretty well. But yeah, I'm loving the culture this year. Things are definitely looking up for us. So.
Oh, that's awesome. You that's kind of what we've heard from a couple of the players now. If we've gotten the chance to talk to a couple players and everybody's saying the same thing. There's a different aura around the team this year.
They're feeling it. They're feeling it this year.
Yeah, we definitely. Last year, there's just a lot of the guys were new to the team, so we're finally building a good culture this year. So.
Oh, it's cool, man. I mean, you're a part of it, so. Really cool. We really appreciate you joining the show today, Jake. We're going to dig into this show in a moment, but first, we'd like to thank everybody for tuning in, whether you're watching on YouTube, which is Shotgun Sports Network, or Facebook or X, or if you're listening on TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Edmonton Sports Talk, or wherever you get your podcasts. While we're here, if you could hit the like, subscribe, or favorite button, we would greatly appreciate it. Today's lineup for another stack show is as follows. We're going to open up with the More You Didn't Know with Jake Taylor talking about his life on and off the turf. Then we'll dig into Kathy's Herd Report talking about the latest Edmonton Elks transactions and news. Following that, we'll give you an Edmonton sports update, and then we'll cap the show with the Fan Forum, where we discuss hot topics surrounding the Edmonton Elks, the CFL, and the sports world as a whole. So be sure to blow up the Herd chat so we can get your comments and questions onto the show. Let's kick it off with the More You Didn't Know, brought to you by the Winnipeg Terminal. Catch the flight with Mike and Joe every week, talking all things Jets and Bombers on Shotgun Sports Network. Wheels up. So in this segment, we're going to talk to Jake Taylor about his life on and off the turf, his experience with the Golden Bears and now the Elks, and a little bit more. So once again, be sure to blow up the Herd chat with your questions and comments. We definitely want to get them onto the show. Question number 1. Jake, you're a Alberta boy hailing from Beaumont. You came up through represent. You came up through the Alberta football system, and now you're a pro football player for your hometown team. Can you give us the Coles Notes version of how you got here, like your beginnings in football all the way to now?
Yeah, no, we actually moved to Beaumont with intention for me to play hockey. And then I was 5 years old, and my dad missed the sign up for hockey by like a month or something. And he knew had to put me in a sport that year. So we ended up going out to Leduc every day to play for the Bobcats there, and then spent, I think it was about 9 years playing for Leduc minor football, and then went over to Salisbury. I knew they had a more competitive football team than what Beaumont and Leduc had to offer. So went out there for the 3 years of high school, and then got a bunch of options leaving high school, but I chose to stick with U of A. Coach Morris always was having my back and helping me with workouts and stuff throughout high school. So I stuck with him. And I had a good time at U of A. It was really cool being part of the flip of that program. And then I was just itching to. Coach Morris told me that I was playing in East-West Bowl, and that was like, wow, like I've really been doing good in ball. And then after that, I was just training hard to get to the CFL. So did the combine, tried out at the combine, and then I actually we were hoping that I would go bottom of the first round, and in that range, the Elks didn't have any picks, so I was prepared to leave Edmonton, and then as the draft went on, my name wasn't getting called, and then I knew Edmonton had the territorial pick, so I ended up landing 18th to the Elks, and that was surreal. My family was pumped. We were all crying and stuff. It was great.
So then,
I could imagine. I could imagine that. Like, can you imagine? And I'm just thinking of the kids, of my kids.
Yeah.
If in your hometown and they
it was so cool too, because my parents, their first date was going to an Eskimos game, and then after, when I was about 5 months old, they took me to an Eskimos game as well, and then it's kind of full circle.
So you grew up a Double E fan then?
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh yeah.
I bet that was that. Yeah, I bet the emotions on that day were
yeah,
absolutely high, just all over the place.
It was crazy. They I have on my Instagram, if you want to look, I have one of the highlights for the stories was the draft day, and you can see all the videos that everyone posted and stuff. It was pretty cool. So we were all emotional.
I think that's every kid's, dream, right? When they grow up in a football family and they stick to their hometown, that's pretty much a dream to be able to draft to your, local CFL team.
Exactly. Yeah. Stayed in the same colors as I did for university. Got the same number as well. It's pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. But let's go back a little bit more to your university time, your time with the U of A Golden Bears. Of course, they've been really successful, with their football program. Like you mentioned, you came up through the experience with Coach Chris Morris. Yeah. So what are your thoughts on the current U of A program, what they have going on, their season, and your time there as well?
I had a great time. It definitely was a shift in my life. I came into that program as a boy, and I'd say I left. I'm still growing, but way closer to a man than I entered. And I loved the culture that we had. A lot of the guys, I always went to the camps, so all the guys that I was calling Coach Reggie, Coach Shaden, were now my teammates, and I loved being part of it at the start. I'm a little sad that I missed that run that they just went on this last year. But yeah, they're gonna be looking pretty good this year. They got Matthew Peterson coming back, Jonathan Justini coming back, and Shin went back as well. I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Okay. And so they got some major pieces that are coming back. The only guy that left from this year's draft was Tyshawn to Toronto. And I think they're set to go on a pretty good run again this year. They did. Coach Rick Walters just left, though. He is going to York University, so it'll be interesting to see how their offense runs.
Yeah, I guess with a new coach, but
well, exactly.
They got all the same offensive weapons. Nothing will be changing for them this year.
Well, they have their playbook, so if at least they have what worked last year.
They got the playbook and the same tool belt. So.
Exactly.
Well, and Eli's only in his second year, I want to say. Is he in his second or third?
This will be his third year.
Yeah, this will be his third. Okay, yeah. So Eli still has a little bit of time left, right? Playing with the U of A Golden Bears, and that might even elevate his game towards the CFL. So I guess that's a question I have here, Jake. What was that transition like going from youth sports to CFL? Like, what was that change of pace like? What was that experience like?
How I would say, for me, so I left high school as a linebacker, and then I did majority of my first season at U of A as a linebacker. When I moved to DB, I felt like I was physically I matched up to everyone in that first year, but I felt like the mental the mental piece is what really I needed to work on in that first year, and it worked out for me. But moving forward from Bears to Elks, I'd say the mental is another big step up. But now I'm not as fast. I'm not the fastest, quickest, strongest guy on the field. So I've really been having to make the mental reads and sharpness way faster, and then my I have to rely on my technique so much more. So one thing that last year Brandon Isaac, our DB coach, said is when things are getting hard in game, don't play harder. You gotta rely on your technique harder. So that's something that I've really been realizing over these last 2 years.
If we've heard that before, I think it was Rick Sertella when we were talking about what he looks for, in prospects for the CFL when he's looking for somebody to bring in. And I think it was he brought up that the mental aspect of it, seeing that somebody would be able to mentally handle it beyond the physicality, because everybody can train for anything. Everybody can, really practice and become better at their craft. But if they don't have the mental capabilities, then
Exactly.
it's just not going to work.
No, yeah, it's and the thing is like defensively, it definitely takes a big step up. This year, we have checks that could turn into 8 different plays, but in university, maybe we'd have like 2 plays that could actually have a bunch of permutations. So, yeah, it's getting in the playbook is definitely important in the next level.
So how does it feel different now that you're past that rookie year? You got that out of the way.
Yeah, no, I am very fortunate that we had Klund and Shives come in. They've been great, just teaching us, but they also kept a lot of the same things that we were doing last year. So it hasn't been like we've been learning new things rather than tweaking the rules and stuff like that. So I've really been able to catch on quick to what we've been running this year.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So let's say it's game day and Jake Taylor has to get ready for the day.
Uh-huh.
Do you have your traditions? Do you have any superstitions? What's a day in the life of Jake Taylor on game day?
I like to French toast for breakfast. Wherever it comes from, I'm getting French toast for breakfast. I like to kind of just chill, whether it's in the hotel room when we're away or at home. I like to just stay at home. And I usually watch Cam Chancellor highlight tape.
Nice.
That's my go-to.
Nice.
Yeah, that's about it. And then I don't live too far from the stadium here, so I enjoy my walk over. And yeah, I like to dress good, and that's about it. Not too superstitious.
Perfect.
What? Even those little things, right? I always like to say that perhaps it's not so much superstition, but it's the routine, right?
Yeah.
You're just used to it, and it feels good if you just keep that routine. And if something changes, then you feel out of sorts. And
Yeah.
Well, there's a popular number 13 in town that after game day, I believe the next morning, I believe it was the next morning. It was always Route 99 for breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Michael Riley. So like same thing, right? Everybody kind of has like that one thing, but some take it over the top of superstition. Like, you see Connor McDavid wearing that same suit walking in and stuff. So always gotta ask.
You know what? It's okay. I'm okay with it. As long as it brings good luck, I don't care what people do.
Yeah. As long as they're ready to play.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, now we're getting to some of the funner questions, more, or our curiosity.
Yeah.
Who is the toughest player in the league that you've had to go man to man with?
Man to man. So in game, I haven't had anyone stand out too much that I felt that I had a hard time against being a gunner on kickoff, or that changes a lot. If I was to say DB wise in practice, I'm gonna say Swerve is the guy. Swerve is the guy to beat when you're doing one-on-ones for the Elks. That guy can move. So
There's a reason why he's called Swerve.
Swerve.
yeah, Swervo.
Yeah.
He can move. He's quick. You got to make sure you close your space on him because he'll shake you real good.
So other than Swerve, is there anyone else on the Elks?
I'd say Gino. Gino's interesting because you'll feel like you're in the right spot. You'll feel like you're doing the whole thing right, and then all of a sudden he jumps up 15 feet in the air and catches the ball, and then you're like, damn, like I really wasn't in the right spot. So Gino and Swerve, I'd say, will take the cake for that. This year, Hergie's been doing pretty good in our one-on-ones as well, so he's been standing out.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, well, and I mean, in that last game, he also stood out pretty good too. So
Oh yeah,
completely understandable. That's for darn sure.
adds up. Yeah.
Is it a little bit different when you guys are practicing, your one-on-ones, that when it's actually, game time? Do you see a little bit of a change even in the demeanor of the players? Is it more like friendly, happy during practice, but then game time is game time?
I'd say, you know what? I'd say that it's a little bit more like we'll be talking a little bit more. It's a little bit not friendly kind of for one-on-ones in practice. Guys will be going at their necks. But when we do sometimes we'll do like the one-on-ones after practice. Jones likes to get the practice roster guys doing that. And that is a bit more fun and light. Probably because it's at the end of practice there. But in game, it's kind of, unless your character is that you like to talk a lot in game, then not as much talk goes on. So
Yeah.
What
a bit more laid back.
we see it and we're like, I wonder what they're saying.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the time too, I think that just because one-on-ones, as a DB, in the DB's defense, it is a 2v1. So the quarterback is going to force the ball and maybe put it in some unreachable spots for the DBs. So a lot of the time, the quarterback might see that DB in the spot that he was in the one-on-ones, and he's not even going to throw that route. So things are a little bit different. But, yeah, the guys are talking in practice a lot more than in game, I'd say.
Interesting.
Yeah, I could
Okay.
see
Yeah.
it.
At least for the Elks.
Yeah, everybody's focused, so I get it. I get it.
Yeah, well, and I mean, the whole chirp talk part, you do a little bit more chirping and it's a little bit more serious on game day, but it's not quantity, it's quality out there,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So outside of football, what else do you get up to? What does a typical day in the off season look like?
Right now, I've been playing a good amount of Call of Duty. Me, my dad, and my cousin, we like to play Warzone, so we've been getting some dubs lately on that. Really, being across the street from the stadium is nice. We'll have some teammates come over, talk ball. My girlfriend is here she's in town, so I'll go on a date with her, hang out with her, maybe go for a walk. But other than that, in season, it's all go.
Yeah.
Practice.
Well, exactly.
Gym, tan, laundry. But
Yeah.
anyways.
Yeah.
It's the life.
And when it's not that, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take a nap.
Listen, I would too. I think we've seen a couple of practices, and it's exhausting just looking at you guys practice.
That's what I was gonna say. It's you guys definitely work hard for that, right? So yeah, it would be
even the walkthrough days, I'd say, are are almost more draining than the actual like day twos, just because you're standing there, your brain is going the whole time, and you can't really sit down and chill at all. So the walkthrough days I would actually pin as some of the more exhausting days.
Wow. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But all right, I'm just gonna throw fast questions at you, and the first thing that comes to your head, okay? So, what's your favorite food?
Cinnamon buns.
Does that count as food?
Yeah,
dessert counts as food.
that's a food.
Edible.
It's
Yeah,
edible. Things that you can eat. Color.
Red.
Your sport outside of football.
I'd probably say skateboarding.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
Yeah.
I've not heard that quite ever. I
No.
think.
Yeah.
Favorite movie.
Creed.
Nice.
Nice.
And your favorite song right now? Like, what can you not stop playing?
Shiesty Summer by Pooh Shiesty.
Nice.
You're kind
Yeah.
of going over there.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's always fun.
Oh wait.
There's always Pooh Shiesty playing in the locker room. So
Yeah, there you go. Oh man, that celebration last year, you guys sellied in the locker room and you were on live on Instagram. It was so good.
yeah, against Hamilton.
Yes. Yes, that was that first win.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That was the first win.
That was a good
Yeah.
one.
Well, okay, so since we're here now, we're
Yes.
talking about old stuff. I do get my bonus question in. Man, can you tell us about what it was like to break the losing streak at home? Like, bring us through that moment.
It was great. As a guy that has been witnessing it and cared about it before even being on the team, it was like just off the shoulders. I would have, even if I got drafted somewhere else, I probably in the back of my head would have been rooting for the Elks to get rid of that. So yeah, it was pretty good to be a part of that, and I'm hoping that I'll be a part of a flip of the culture and wins and everything for the team. So it was cool.
Oh, yeah, I cried.
He did cry. I'm
It
pretty sure
was-
there were quite a few tears around in the stadium.
Oh,
I have never experienced that in a stadium before.
It was awesome. It was like everyone was getting all hyped up about it. Yeah, no, it was sick. Standing on the bench, I was throwing my arms up. Let's go.
Well, and the players too, right? And that's the thing that people forget about, is that the players in the locker room also, like, they were at the forefront of it all, right? So, you know, they have to hear all the noise on the outside. They have to be reminded. You guys have to be reminded of the streak and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, you got the organization trying to do great things outside of the stadium. Unfortunately, the wins aren't coming. And, you know, it was frustrating in those moments, breaking the streak. Couldn't imagine what it would have been like to be you guys out there. And, you know, even just to see you guys celebrating, like I said, celebrating that win in Hamilton and you guys popping off. Like, I went to the Instagram live. I was like, yo, Jake Taylor is live. He has just gotten off the field. This has to be like, I somehow knew. So I flipped it on. And then, you know, all the posts that were following, and it's hilarious. And that goes to show too, like, the fandom is still here for the Double E. The fandom still exists. The fan base is a passionate one, just because, you know, they're a little bit salty about last year and the year before, whatever.
But that's the thing, right? We are a passionate one.
Very
so
passionate.
There's like when there's
of course there's gonna be some, when people care and we're not doing good, there's gonna be some embarrassment, of course. So as now that we shook that off our shoulders and the team is looking up this year, we got something that the fans can definitely come together for. So it's going to be cool to see, especially with what the Oilers are doing right now. Hopefully we can pull together a Grey Cup run for you guys.
That'd be amazing.
Yeah.
City of Champions.
City of Champions. This is actually part of the City collection. This is a U of A Golden Bears color Oilers hat.
Yeah,
That's so cool.
So I don't know if you have like this actually.
I'm gonna need to. Yeah, you gotta text me the link where you got that.
I
Around.
I will most definitely.
That's
I
cool.
guess last question. I do have one last question. You being on the other side of the fence, you being part of the organization, what's your thoughts on the 75th celebrations? What do you think of everything the organization did with the 75th?
It's really cool. Being at the like dinner gala was just like a really cool thing. There was a lot of the guys coming in from the States might not understand that football really is a big thing out here, and like for them, even the guys that are just coming from the States, they might not know how big this is. That walking into the tunnel that was covered in all the players and like graphics and everything, and then there's just a room of like 2,000 people cheering for us as we're walking in, was sick. And then we had Warren Moon, Ricky Ray, Mike Riley, all the big name guys that came through the program were there. It was pretty sick. So I'm really happy that they're commemorating all the years of the Double E, and I'm pretty proud to be a part of it. So
Yeah, I mean, growing up being a fan, how exciting was it to meet some of these great legends?
it was sick. It was weird. Like I was just really sitting at that dinner, and it was just like I was thinking. What I was thinking about was it was at the Shaw Conference Center, and I remember when I was in third grade, I was 10 years old, so it was 14 years ago, or it might have been 13 years ago. I forget exactly the year, but the Eskimos were in the Grey Cup, and there was the big Grey Cup breakfast that was in the Shaw Conference Center there, and I remember being a little 10-year-old kid going and just thinking it was like the coolest thing ever, and then now I'm a player sitting in that exact same hall, so it was pretty cool.
Oh,
Yeah, that'd be
that's so
surreal.
cool. That's exactly. That's completely surreal.
Yeah.
Herd chat. We have a yo and a let's go there. Let's go by Redman J. So we do not have any any extra herd chat questions today. So Jake, we will let you go, but man, can't thank you enough for joining us tonight, man. This is
Yeah,
fun.
thank you guys for having me on.
Oh,
Yes, it's always nice asking those like personal questions, let's get to know you a little bit more. You know,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, totally. And some fun questions about football and whatnot as well. It's it doesn't always have to be serious. So man, the serious part is obviously you are on the 6th game. So we really hope that
Yeah.
you heal up well. And we
Yeah.
definitely hope to see you on the turf as soon as possible, my man.
Amen. Yeah. Thank you guys very much.
Yeah, no worries, man. We hope you have a great night. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you so
Have
much.
a good one. Appreciate it.
Cheers, Jake.
Bye.
So that was Jake Taylor, number 13 of the Edmonton Elks. That was awesome. That was sweet. He's
Yeah.
always a good chat.
It's cool, I mean, not I don't want this to sound bad, but usually the guests that we have on, they're a little bit more mature. They've been, playing for
Older,
a long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
They're older. They have a lot of experience. So it's super cool seeing a young guy coming in and realizing his childhood dreams and just, like that's just very refreshing. It's
Yeah.
refreshing.
Yeah, I mean, Mark Cordy is a little bit similar, but
Very
once
much.
again, right, he's
Mhm.
kind of developed into his role a little bit
Mhm.
more. He's been in the league quite a bit longer. So, and Jake Taylor was a name that we were looking for at the combine last year when it was in Edmonton. Jake Taylor was actually a pretty big name. We weren't sure where he was going to go. And with that territorial pick, we were lucky to get him here
Oh, no.
in Edmonton. Do not claw me, baby
Can't-
Luna. Not this
can't-
one. This is the Warren Moon sign. That was a good save. That was a very good save.
Can't have the cat
Not
clawing at the
today.
jersey.
Also, so first off, a big shout out to Jake Taylor for joining us, Hernan over at the Edmonton Elks for setting it up like always. And then a big shout out to you, the viewer, the listener. You guys are all tuned into season 2 of the Elks Call with the Elks Herd on Shotgun Sports Network. If you could smash the thumbs up and give us a like and subscribe while you're at it, we would greatly appreciate the support. Drive to 500. We're still trying to give away that slick double E signature jersey that says the green and gold is bold. It's a 20, I think it's like a 2016. So appreciate the support. Definitely need to get to 500 subscribers though. Next up is Kathy's Herd Report, where Kathy brings you the latest Elks news and transactions. The Herd Report is brought to you by Off the Reins podcast. The Birmingham Stallions are going for the 3-peat, and Ryan Messer has you covered for the journey. He's even in the herd chat with a little giddy up Jake. Find OTR every week on Shotgun Sports Network. Giddy up.
Yeah. I'll pull that one out. The giddy up.
Giddy up.
Yeah, there you go. I pulled the wrong one. Yes, let's talk about the last game. That game.
That game.
You know, that game. You know, between the Oilers and the Elks, that game, I'm getting gray hairs. I'm pretty sure. Like I'm stressed. This game did not help. I mean, on June 8th, 2024, just last weekend, the Saskatchewan Roughriders secured a frustrating come-from-behind victory against the Edmonton Elks, their season opener, finishing the game at 29-21.
I predicted 31-28 or 31-28 is what I predicted. So I got one of the numbers close. However, wrong team.
Wrong team.
Wrong team.
I mean, we started well with a Boris Beatty field goal to get some points on the board right away. So that was exciting. I mean, getting in and right away seeing some numbers, and then how do you say Javon Leak? Okay, I didn't want to mess that up. You know, the 2023 most outstanding special teams player. He took a punt return back to the house for what would have been a touchdown. So I was actually not in my seat when that was happening. I went to get some drinks and some popcorn.
But you
and
saw
I heard
him run.
I heard it. I heard the excitement.
And flag.
Unfortunately, an illegal block and the bag penalty just wiped the score for the Elks. So that was very unfortunate. I mean, it was still an exciting start to the game. So there was hope. We saw some good plays. You know, we moved on to the second quarter.
We moved on.
We had Jake Julian with a 57-yard punt. He had a dead ball, which was declared for a single point for us. And this is where we see Hergy Mayala scoring a touchdown after a 22-yard pass from MBT. We had a couple of really good runs by Dylan Mitchell and Kevin Brown in there too. So it was a good quarter. Yeah. One thing to point out here is that it really started raining. You know, the rain, I think, definitely made it difficult for the offenses to sustain the drives and to keep going with those drives, which led to tackles for losses for both teams.
Well, and the other thing too is the run game could not get established on either team. AJ Oleg got held to less than 100 yards. Let's put it that way. It is a good day for your defense when AJ Oleg can't get going. So AJ Oleg, he was supposed to be the big star of the show for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It ended up being Sean Bain.
Yeah.
Sean Bain with 3 touchdowns, right?
I mean, I saw somebody, maybe it would have been Dave Campbell, that called the game sloppy for both teams. You know, it could have been the weather. We're not sure. I mean, you always have to put that into consideration when you see some of those plays that should have gone, you know, properly.
Yeah.
Just completely flop. So during the third quarter, the Elks had another long drive with MBT finding Gino Lewis over the middle all the way to the Saskatchewan's 3rd-yard line for first and goal. That was pretty amazing. That was cool to see. That's when you know that Gino came to play. He definitely.
Yeah, it was a fantastic play. He got right up there. You really hoped he would get it all the way in. He got close enough. And that was right in our end too of the field,
we did
right?
See that.
Section X represent.
but it's one of those, reminders that we have the pieces. We have a Gino Lewis that is capable of making some of those catches,
Yeah.
and what are we going to do with them? Um, of course, that was followed by another touchdown by Hergy Mayala, giving us a 10-point lead going into the fourth quarter. So he himself had a good game.
Oh
He
yeah.
had himself a good game.
I believe he was actually player. Was he declared player of the game? I believe he was.
He
I
better.
believe he was.
He better be. So for a couple
Yeah.
of touchdowns, that definitely was. Once again, we went into the fourth with a lead, and just as we started the fourth quarter, we had a single or speedy field goal again, which extended the lead to 13 points.
So up by 2 scores. You're up by 2
Yeah.
scores, right?
So you think that you're good?
Play some shutdown football.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the Edmonton Elks, unfortunately, we're dealing with.
Things went south very quickly. In just 3 plays, Trevor Harris was able to put 7 on the board, thanks to the addition of course, AJ Ouellette in the run game. Even though he didn't have the best game that he could have, it was still enough.
They did enough.
It was still enough.
Saskatchewan
Yes.
did enough.
There was another forced fumble in there, and Beatty missed the field goal. That I believe at that point it was just the turning point of the game.
Yeah,
you knew that.
TEC. It is the TEC turning point. So,
Mhm.
you have momentum going the other way. In order to stop the momentum, you have to put points on the board
Mhm.
to continue adding doubt.
Mhm.
But in those moments, Saskatchewan had no doubts about what they were doing. They were going for the win, and they weren't very far off.
And it's one of those, I think we had a couple of those, maybe more than a couple of those types of games that it really could have come down to a field goal.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Because it did. What would have happened if that field goal went in and we had that momentum and we didn't give that last sack that MBT had with 2 minutes to go? Cox Jr.
Yeah.
He strip sacked Bethel Thompson, and he gave Harris and Bain an opportunity to all but steal the game. Really, we had one last chance right at the end, after an Ouellette fumble.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, maybe we have a chance here. And then,
No,
of
but
course, it turned into an incomplete pass.
Well, interception, wasn't it?
No, it was
it was an incomplete.
Well, but it turned it over, I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
But it was an incomplete, and it just...
game's over. So it's brutal, right? It's the Edmonton Elks snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. A theme of last year, which I think is the biggest concern, right? We're talking about an Edmonton Elks team that had to visibly show improvement, but also get this win. Why? Because you have the Grey Cup champs on Friday here at Commonwealth. And then you have Toronto, and then you have BC. Or it's BC, then Toronto.
Yeah, the next, it's rough.
Let me confirm.
It's rough. I mean, all I know is that
Toronto than BC.
The first half of this entire season was going to be very, very, very tough on the Elks.
Well, and you also knew that they had to get the Saskatchewan game, and then they also, you're probably not going to get that Alouettes. Toronto almost looked possible until Cameron Duke started playing. And then, BC. Yeah. Good luck.
Well,
good luck. We already know how the Edmonton Elks play against BC. So it's not what we want to talk about right now. This isn't what we want to talk about. We do not want to speculate on these 4 games. But the Edmonton Elks are already in a position for a mid-season reset. At the end of these 4 games. The IFAF comes to town. They take over the stadium. We'll be doing our media there. It's not going to be, much off time for us or anything like that. Then they're going to be coming back to Commonwealth Stadium, and you would assume that there is going to be some changes, whether it be installs, maybe some personnel, as far as players, right?
Yeah.
We really don't know, but the team needs to win, and the team cannot afford to start the season 0-4. They have to win one of these games against Montreal, Toronto, or BC. They have to win at least one of them.
That sounds tough with the way that we're seeing.
They had to win this one.
We know what we see is going wrong.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I'm just gonna
Let's
bring
talk
up
about
the
some
highlights.
let's
You know,
talk
the
some
positives.
positives. Yes.
Because we know what the negatives have. But let's talk about the positives. Of course, the defense. You know, we had a couple of interceptions with Darius Breton and Cave Frey.
Right.
They had themselves good games as well. The defense.
Kai Gray. Kai Gray. Kai Gray. Did.
Clearly, we know.
That was a
My-
typo and a half.
That was my dyslexia coming in. So I apologize.
That was a good
Definitely,
one.
that was a good one. Sorry, I made myself laugh. That is 100%
K Frey.
dyslexia.
It's gonna be like a rapper name, my alter ego. But
Anyways.
Gino Lewis was named David Boone Award winner for for community service. That was actually at the
Yes.
75 dinner.
So, you know, he's got good plays and he's really good member of the community.
Good plays on and off the turf,
On and off.
in the streets. He's there in the community. So
Yes.
it's fantastic to see. And I mean, you want to see that. Especially somebody like Gino. You know, you think about the salary. You know, sometimes you think about the all-star status and all this other stuff. He is technically a CFL star. He's also doing the little things as well. And that's kind of what makes him bigger than that CFL all-star status. Right?
Yeah.
It's the players that actually give back to the community. You take a look at Jed Roberts.
Yes.
Right? Jed Roberts is still doing everything out there in the community. Always talking to fans every day. Like, you know, it's those kind of things that make you a champion in the community, which is that's something that we do got to talk about when it comes to Double E, right?
Of course. I mean, the fans are passionate, but the fans are very I want to call it patriotic, really, when it comes to being an Edmontonian. You know, they really look for people that do something back for the community.
Yeah, give back a little bit.
So that they give back. So if the team is not necessarily doing the greatest, hey, at least we have really amazing people that play for the organization, right? So positives there. Dylan Mitchell, he had a really good game as well. And overall, we had a greater amount of rushing and passing yards in Saskatchewan. So, I mean, when you think about it, if you're looking at the numbers, you know, same amount of sacks.
Greater number of penalties, though, and that's an area of concern.
Well, and that's the thing, you know, once again, what are the things that we continue to see game after game that are just costing us?
Ball security.
Like, we need to get them like little Velcros or something.
Penalties.
I know that's illegal, but
it's penalties.
Penalties, turnovers, ball security.
Special teams had a bit of a rough go, but I mean, that return touchdown could have been really huge, right?
Yeah.
But a penalty negated that. So I mean, even then, special teams, they did struggle. I think the penalties were probably one of the bigger problems with this team.
Yeah.
What was it, 11 yards, 11 penalties for 101 yards or something like that?
Something like that.
It's a stupid amount of penalties.
Yes.
So,
you know, and like, I know that we don't necessarily talk about the Oilers, but I just got to bring this reference here, you know, with the penalties, right? What I said watching the last game is that if you're going to be playing against a tough opponent that you don't know if you're going to be able to beat them, you know, one-on-one, at least don't get penalties because at least you're taking that away. You're giving yourself another chance to be able to beat them at their own game playing clean.
Yeah.
Rather than, you know, having all those drawbacks of having to go for a penalty. What comes from a penalty, right? So I feel like that is definitely one of those that I'm not sure where it comes from. I mean, was it accidental? Was it on purpose? Like, do the players just need to be more careful? Like, how do you fix the penalty issue?
Well, it's coaching. That's a coaching thing. So it comes down to the D-line coach, let's say, for some of the penalties that Kemdichi was taking, which he got a sack in. It's great that he's out there getting sacks, but we also need him to make sure he's not holding or causing any penalties. So it all comes down to coaching. So
Yeah.
I really hope they solve that. It's also that mentality of, you know, you have to allow yourself to get beat. You can't just hold on to the guy and,
Yeah.
you know, think that this is good. You know, your holding is going to disappear. Your hands are
Right.
magically going to turn invisible. No.
There's a lot of cameras on you.
Well, and you know what? There is the legends of players that wear gloves the same color as the opponent's jersey.
Ah.
I want to say Craig Ellis recently posted about that in the last couple months, but because yeah, he would wear red, so then that way you wouldn't see that the red gloves
That
holding
there's-
the other player, right?
Interesting.
So that's an old school technique, right? But there's so many cameras, you know,
Yeah.
if a player goes, "Hey, I got held,"
Right.
well, on the next play, the ref is going to be watching that scenario a little
Mhm.
bit more. Player's probably going to get busted at some point.
Yeah.
That's why people complain to the refs.
Yeah.
Straight up.
And once again, you know, we just mentioned it. The next few games are going to be against really tough opponents. If you're adding penalties on top of that, it's just you're just kicking yourself
Yeah.
down. Like it's just not going to go anywhere. So that definitely, in our opinion, that definitely needs to be addressed. Ball security, well, that's just a given.
Yeah.
That's, you know, a lot of the turnovers that we saw were due to ball security. Right? Like
Yeah.
fumbles or, you know, giving them away, punching them through or anything like that. So I don't know what's it going to take to and you know, people could make the argument once again, as I mentioned, about the rain. You know, that things were slippery,
Yeah.
everything was slippery. But if we continue to see it game after game, then perhaps blaming the weather is not the best.
No.
Not the way to go about it. But that being said, however, we did have some transactions. On June 9th, we signed national fullback Bruno Lagasse. On June 10th, we signed national defensive back Josh Haggerty. He was actually the Grey Cup champion who was released by the Argos in camp.
So that's a good D-back to have, a guy with
yeah.
a little bit of pedigree.
Yeah. June 11th, American wide receiver Tevin Jones was signed. He accumulated 882 receiving yards with the Rough Riders last season.
And if I'm not mistaken, he has some pretty good NFL experience as
Mhm.
well. So this is, you know, these are actually some good pickups. I want to see Sean Oakman for the D-line from Toronto. Get Sean Oakman on the plane to Edmonton ASAP.
Do we need him though?
Well, you take a look at the penalties that are being
guess.
committed on the D-line. Wouldn't you like to have some accountability? Wouldn't you like to be able to hold somebody accountable by throwing them back on the practice roster? Maybe when you can stop taking penalties, maybe you can take somebody else's job here. But for
Right.
now, you don't.
Yeah.
I in my opinion.
Can we afford him?
Well, it depends on where we're at in cap space.
That's
Also,
true.
it depends on 6-man injury
Yes.
list as well.
Which we do have some.
We got some guys on the 6-man, but we also did just sign these guys as well. So
Yes.
they would have to release somebody more than likely at this point.
Yeah.
But I believe you have some injuries to get to here.
We do.
Speaking of our good
of,
friend Jake Taylor.
Yes, we do have a few on the 6-game injury list, including Jamin Pelly, Gavin Cobb, Jaron Diggy, Vincent Force Monbleau, and Jake Taylor, who we just talked to. Kyron Moore is unfortunately out with the season. It looks like we haven't received confirmation. There hasn't
ACL,
been,
yeah.
but it looks bad. It looks like something that is going to prevent him from coming back.
ACL. It's ACL.
Yeah.
It's ACL.
And that, you know, that's a long recovery.
Hey, he's out for the season for
He's
sure.
We do have a couple of guys that were not practicing or they had limited participation. O-line Brett Boyko with a head injury and
Josiah Shackle.
Yeah. With an ankle injury who did not practice.
And Shackle has been in on quite a few plays, and you know, this is his second year with the Elks, so never like to see it.
Yeah. I mean, thankfully for some of these guys, it looks like, you know, it's nothing serious. Well, of course, except for Kyron Moore, and we're super disappointed to see him get injured that bad. but hopefully we see some of these guys coming back sooner rather than later. So, what's next? What's next is the Elks stay at home for week 2 to host the Montreal Alouettes on Friday, June 14th at 7 p.m. It is a 90s night. It's my night.
It's our night.
I was
It's our
born in the
night.
90s, like right there. So,
I was born in the 91.
so yeah, should be a fun one. It's a night
old.
game. Come on, it's not that bad. It's a night game, so it should be pretty cool. Hopefully, the weather cooperates and it's not another thunderstorm. Well, no, we didn't have a thunderstorm, but it felt like a horrible storm last game.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. It looks like we're actually going to be under thunderstorms here potentially. So, yeah, we'll see. I think the last time I saw the forecast, it said that the thunderstorm ends at the 9 o'clock hour. So as we know, we live in Edmonton. Commonwealth Stadium is a vortex.
Yeah.
So I don't think we need to worry about the forecast quite yet. But I would say, Luna, get out of here. I would say that stay tuned to the weather forecast.
Yeah.
Hour by hour. We will be there on Friday night for the Friday Night Lights. Stall 182. We're gonna actually talk about that in a minute.
Yeah.
But
what's your game preview?
Great game preview prediction. Game prediction 28-14. The Alouettes are going to destroy us, unfortunately. I'm just going off of the Grey Cup pedigree that the Montreal Alouettes hold. Unfortunately, it is what it is. Now, I would love it for the Edmonton Elks to go ahead and prove me wrong.
Yeah.
Please prove me wrong, Edmonton Elks, on my prediction here. And if anything, I want to say that this score is actually rather similar to what they scored last year in their second last game. So we'll see. Do you have a game prediction?
Not really.
Okay.
I don't want to. I don't want to.
I don't want to do the prediction. All right. Well, no rain, 32-24 Elks. I like that prediction.
You know
John.
what? It'd be super cool. It'd be so cool if the Elks manage to pull this one off and we beat the Grey Cup champions of last year.
Yeah, I mean,
how fun would that be?
It would be fantastic. We want to see the Edmonton Elks win, obviously. So, I'm hoping. I'm really, really hoping that we can pull this one off. If they do, this might be that coal in the fire that they need to, catch the flywheel here. This is they really do need to get this team back to greatness. You got MBT here. He put up over 300 yards, right?
Yeah.
Or net offense was over. No, he passed for over 300.
Yeah,
I believe he passed for over 300.
It was good. It's sometimes it's a little unfortunate that we that people are putting a lot of pressure on MBT.
Yeah.
Because he's not doing bad, but it's not like he's doing great. And I think everybody right now is expecting greatness.
Well, but rightfully so. I mean, you bring in quote unquote elite quarterback. Welcome to Edmonton.
Right.
This is when it comes to Edmonton sports teams, we become very high pressure.
You'll feel the love, but you'll feel the pressure.
You'll feel the burn. It doesn't matter what professional team it is.
Mm-hmm.
If you have a fan base here, they're extremely passionate, they're boisterous.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna tell you how they feel, and sometimes it's great. Like you take a look at the Edmonton Oilers right now. Obviously, you see a mixed range, right? But you can see the passion. You can see how stoked people are about them. Same deal when the Edmonton Eskimos were in the playoffs almost every year. You had that expectation of winning.
Mm-hmm.
So, you like to see it. I think that MBT, it will take a little bit of adjusting, especially coming from Toronto when they have so many other big sports. Here it's Edmonton Oilers, then it's Edmonton Elks, and then it's Stingers, Riverhawks, all the other pro leagues,
Yeah.
right? So, yeah, I mean, it's good. I'm sure he will adjust. Most importantly, I hope that him and Trey are getting along well and that
Right.
they're transferring that knowledge, because we still want Trey Ford in the mix here as well. What I would like to see is Trey Ford get utilized in that Montreal Alouettes game.
I was gonna say it, and John has brought it up here as well. That
Oh.
every comment I see in
Oh,
Facebook,
nice. There it is. John
says
on
that
cue.
if Trey Ford is not in at least 1 or 2 games, we're not going to have a great season. And I do agree. For some of these games that are coming up that we may be having a little bit of a hard time, why not throw a little bit of a curveball? Why not
some razzle dazzle?
Wrong sport, but you know what
Yeah.
I mean. Like the little element of surprise or something.
Razzle
exciting.
dazzle. Yeah, you
Just
mix it up a little bit. Don't be so predictable.
Mhm.
Put Trey Ford in,
Mhm.
but do a scramble play. Maybe have the 2 quarterbacks on the field at the same time, and lateral pass up and over. Like we've talked about this on the show.
Mhm.
Mix it up. Get Trey Ford involved. And another thing that people are saying online as well is I want to see Trey Ford play because he plays exciting football.
Mhm.
Which that's that scramble play that he does, right?
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
run and gun style football at that point. But at least you do get that excitement. However, excitement doesn't win football games, and the team needs wins a heck of a lot more than they need an exciting Trey Ford without the wins. A boring MBT on the field or a classic MBT on the field.
Been boring. Like we haven't seen any of those long passes.
We've seen a couple of them,
but I mean that pass to Gino Lewis was pretty impressive.
Exactly,
100%. But I feel like he was also maybe playing it a little too safe.
Right.
So yeah, bring
well,
that
and then
excitement.
he did have an interception. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's exciting times. Speaking of those other sports, though, that brings us to our Edmonton sports update. Alrighty. Today's Edmonton sports update is brought to you by Purdy's. Last week we served you fun on a bun. This week we're giving you some thick on a stick. 3 hours before game time, Herdy's will be serving some chicken kebabs in the tailgate while fans wait for the Elks to cook the chickens on the turf. Stall 182 on Friday night. Herdy's, smoke the meats.
Thick chicken, apparently.
Thick, with 2 C's. Your Edmonton Elks are playing the Montreal Alouettes Friday night after losing last Saturday's contest with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Kickoff is at 7 p.m. Mountain. The Edmonton Oilers are still 4 wins away from Lord Stanley's Cup. The Oilers play the Florida Panthers at home tomorrow night, down 2-0 in the best-of-7 series. Puck drop is at 6 p.m. Mountain. In the CBL, the 4-2 Edmonton Stingers are taking on the Calgary Surge on Friday, and then the Winnipeg Sea Bears on Sunday. The Edmonton Riverhawks hosted their school special today, taking down the Kelowna Falcons 11-4. They will be back in action on Friday against the Victoria Harbour Cats at Remax Field. First pitch is at 7:05 p.m. Mountain. Be sure to catch Riverhawks and Stingers games live on Edmonton Sports Talk this year. For more on the Edmonton sports scene, check out our weekly sports articles on shotgunsportsnetwork.ca, which features great local coverage by Glenn Noons. We're the Elks Herd. You're up to date. And then we have our affiliates here. This is kind of like our commercial break. Shout out to you guys for supporting our network and clicking those affiliated links. You help us fund Shotgun Sports Network by hitting those, as well the tailgate meets and everything else that we do for fans. So big shout out to you for helping us out. Every time you click the links, we get a little bit of a kick. So we see you guys clicking them. Really appreciate it. We choose these products because we believe in them. So first one, Royal Retros. Guess who I met? Guess who I met on Friday? I met Warren Moon.
Mhm.
I didn't quite have this jersey,
Oh,
but nice. And we got the pictures to show everybody from the tailgate. But there we go. The Warren Moon #1 Royal Retros jersey, which is absolutely stunning. So use code Shotgun Sports for 10% off over at royalretros.com. Get yourself whatever you want over there. Treat yourself.
Mhm.
Just make sure you save that 10% with Shotgun Sports. All caps, no spaces. And then, before we get to Lather, we got to talk about Fanatics.
Mhm.
They're a big affiliate of ours as well. Everybody should know Fanatics by now. If you shop with them, you can shop with Shotgun Sports. So go ahead and click our link anytime you shop over at Fanatics. Make sure we get the kick. And then Lather. We got to talk about Lather. The deodorant has still not been completely used up. It's 3 months plus of this deodorant. It still smells great. Still gonna claim I never was a soap guy. Still was using that Irish Spring until like a year ago now.
It's gonna be a good day when you finally come into the podcast and be like, "Hey, guess what? Guess
The
what? I
stick
just
ran
finished."
out, but it hasn't. And that's why you pay that little bit extra to get like an
Mhm.
extra month out of your deodorant. So,
Yeah.
Lather men's grooming products, save yourself 20% by using code Shotgun Sports 20, all caps, no spaces. Smell damn good. Lather without the E, lather.com. Go check them out. And yes, I mean, we still still use all of these guys.
Mhm.
Birmingham Stallions trying to go for that three-peat. So, they got a lot of good Birmingham Stallions gear up there. I'm sure that Ryan
Yeah.
Messer was the one that.
Oh, I thought you were still talking about lather. Oh,
No, Royal Retros.
I know.
Royal
It's like
Retros.
there's a Stampede soap.
No, but hey,
Hey.
what about green and gold?
Yeah.
Green and gold scrub or something like that. I
Yeah.
think that would be cool.
That would be cool.
Nathan, did you say chick on a stick or thick? Some thick on a stick. Some thick chick on a stick,
Yeah,
but
there you go.
there you go. And we're talking about chicken.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, it is the final segment of the show. One of our favorites. We're going to open up the fan forum because we know that there's some topics. We see John in the herd chat. We see the herd chat popping off. Let's talk about some more Edmonton Elks stuff. Today's fan forum is brought to you by the Rouge, White, and Blue podcast, Americans Talking Canadian Football. Oz and Joe can now be seen on Shotgun Sports Network, bringing their audibles to your screens. Everyone's favorite point, white and blue. By the way, Rouge, White, and Blue, their episode should be live by tomorrow morning. So,
Nice.
OTR ended up just getting a fresh episode up on Shotgun Sports Network yesterday. Winnipeg Terminal is usually today, but tomorrow, Rouge, White, and Blue will be available on Shotgun Sports Network, their latest episode. So, everybody, make sure you go check them out. Joe is straight out of Chippewa Falls, so Wisconsin. Okay, guys, let's open up this fan forum. In this segment, we're going to talk about hot topics surrounding the Edmonton Elks and the CFL as a whole. Blow up the herd chat so we can get your comments onto the show. And John, we see you. We see you in the herd chat. We already have this question queued. Question number 1. The 75th season opener has come and gone with many great experiences and opportunities. With the alumni signing on game day, we saw a very big lineup and fans not able to get the signatures or experiences that they wanted. Did the Edmonton Elks get the alumni signing right?
I think they tried to. I don't think it was successful. I think it was really good intentions, but I don't think it was really well thought out. To be honest,
Yeah.
just to put a little bit context in this for those who didn't go or perhaps didn't have time to go to the alumni signing session, we got there at around 11 to set up for the tailgate, and we saw that people were already lining up.
Yeah.
So I went
Three.
ahead. Yeah.
Well, how many hours? That would have been.
No,
Yeah,
like
1 hour.
1 hour.
An hour
before,
in advance. Okay,
right?
that's not
An
bad.
hour in advance. So I went ahead and lined up because we definitely wanted to get some of the signatures from the first group of alumni that they had.
But we also wanted to get group number 3.
Of course, we definitely did. I mean, if there was one group that was going to be sacrificed, unfortunately, it was going to be group number 2 because there were very specific signatures that we wanted.
Right.
Anyways, there were about, I don't know, I would say 20 people, 20 to 30 people in front of me by the time that I actually made it to the line. So, not a whole lot of people. I thought it was going to go a lot faster. But by the time that we actually made it inside and started getting our autographs, the first group was already walking away. So, just to give you a little bit of context, right? People that 20, 30 people in front of me were the ones that were able to get those first signatures in the first group, and then that's it. And then on top of that, everybody, hundreds of people, are already lining up to get these signatures. So we have to leave the area, the field house, and go line up again to try to get some of those signatures. By that time, it was 12:30. By the time that we finished, and they said that Warren Moon was going to be on his seat for 1:30 p.m. People that were in the line by the time that we made it out did not get the chance to get some of those autographs from the third group. Any autographs. So, yeah, I don't think it was very successful. We were talking about it and we were saying that maybe they should have had, kind of like an assembly line, just have everybody in a massive table and just have people go, one on one and just get all the signatures instead of having. I get it because I understand that probably they don't want some of these guys signing for an hour and a half. That's a long time to be signing autographs.
Well,
I get it.
And Warren Moon, like the other thing people need to realize too is that somebody like Warren Moon, he still has an agent.
Mm-hmm.
Warren Moon still has an agent. Warren Moon is an extremely huge name. He might not sign for more than a half an hour, but why can't you do an hour, a full hour autograph session?
Right.
Have everybody sit for the hour, but do that assembly line.
Mm-hmm.
No pictures, one item, keep it moving.
Right.
Have good line control. Have people saying, come on, move it.
Mm-hmm.
And, the other thing that sucks about that, though, is that you don't get that experience. You don't get to talk for that minute or two or whatever, right? Which everybody wanted to talk to all of their old favorite players.
And that's exactly what was happening. Because in my head, when I lined up, I was like, oh, this is going to be super quick. We're just going to get our signatures and I'm going to have time to line up again and get the second group. Right? But the reality is that people were stopping to shake hands. People were stopping to say words, whether encouragement, thanks, congratulations, whatever it is, right? They want to have a couple of words with their heroes or, everybody they're meeting. So I get it. But at the same time, there were more than a few comments that we saw online that people lined up for 2 hours for nothing.
Well, and that's, that's where we also had to make a decision as well, because we have a tailgate, we are also fans. So we wanted to talk with people and see people, and we had missed out on some fans, unfortunately, right? That we didn't get to talk to. So there's a little bit of sacrifice there for us as well in grabbing these, but there's people that stood in line for literally 2 hours and couldn't get anything. I think the other problem too is that it became a lottery. Really, if you were standing in line, it was a lottery. Depending on what point you hit that table, that's when you would that's when you how wherever you were in line told you where, like, which players you were going to see. So if you were in line, if you stood in line and you were at like the 1.5 hour mark, you were going to get to meet Warren Moon. But there's people that were right at the front of, like, let's say, I would say that there is around 40 to 50 people in front of us. I would say.
I don't think.
I think it was closer to 40. Let's say it was 40 though. And by the time we made it to the table, Mike Riley, which I had a little speech lined up and everything else. By the way, Michael Riley, not a friend of the Herd yet on X, but he replied to me today. Michael Riley acknowledged the Elks Herd. Wild. But that being said, I had a whole speech lined up and everything. I've never met Ricky Ray, so I really, really wanted to meet Ricky Ray. I've seen Ricky Ray play. Didn't get to see him with the Edmonton Eskimos at the time.
Right.
But I still really, really wanted to meet Ricky Ray. I still really wanted to like say, hey, welcome back, Michael Riley, like all this stuff. And unfortunately, I didn't get to do that. So I could only imagine how it felt to be one of those people that was so far back in line, right?
Yeah. And again, let's say that you were just trying to be proactive and you're like, okay, like we did, we're going to go line up half an hour before this thing starts. But in reality, the signatures that you wanted were Warren Moon, Tom Wilkinson, those were the ones that you were hoping for, but now you don't even get the chance because you lined up too early.
Well, yeah, and I mean, one of our writers over at Shotgun Sports Network, specifically with the Elks Herd, Matt Morris, he does fantastic articles, great guy, works with Lori Goudreau-Cordy, friend of the herd. So Matt Morrissey sent us a Warren Moon jersey saying, hey, like, man, can you get the sign for me? Like, not a problem, man. We'll do it. Didn't get to see Warren Moon past the Friday event, which I'll talk about that in a minute. And then, we also had somebody that sent us something to get signed by Tom Wilkinson. Also couldn't get that signed because we actually only saw Wilkie for a moment. And from what I hear, I don't know, from what I hear, he might not have signed many autographs. We'll put it that way.
Yeah.
I don't even know if he actually sat down at the table.
Right.
I assume that he did. But even last time we saw Wilkie, he was struggling signing stuff, and I didn't really want to overextend him anyways. But we're fan service. We tried to help somebody out, and we couldn't even do that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we would have had to stand in the line, potentially. Both of us staggered for like 2 hours, right? Yeah. So it wasn't possible. No. I think that was the frustrating thing is they advertised it in a way where group 1, group 2, group 3, where you almost saw it, you could just keep going back in a circle and getting them all, but you couldn't.
No, it definitely, I don't think it was, or maybe they thought they planned it properly and it just did not go according to plan.
Well, and John here said, some people had more than one thing to get signed, which that's frustrating because they were very, very straight up. You can only get one thing signed. Dave Cutler, when we were at the table, our youngest, Aiden, Dave Cutler took his hat and said, hey, let me sign that. A little bit forceful about it, right? But I was like, oh my goodness, Aiden, make sure you say thanks. Like, this is so huge. Like, Dave Cutler's signing this for you. And he understood how special it was, but to me it was like, holy cow, they said only one thing to get signed. Aiden, you're a lucky guy. Like, that's great, man. Like, so happy for you. This is now a story that he can have for the rest of his life. And really, that's the biggest thing is for kids and for, some of us that didn't get to see these greats, getting to connect the pieces, getting to connect the old with the new, right? Just like this jersey.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like promising as, autograph kind of thing was a little too much. I'm pretty sure people would have been just as happy just to see them talk and maybe being able to take pictures or something.
Yeah, maybe even even a picture thing, right? But autographs should be faster. That's the thing. Doing signatures should be faster. It's all about how you dictate that line. Well, you gotta make a move. You gotta get people through that autograph session.
Listen, I don't think. Well, they're not going to have to worry about that for a while now.
No.
So
Well, they'll still.
I mean, this is a good learning opportunity for the Elks, I think, if they ever decide that they're going to bring a very large number of,
Alumni.
Legends.
Yeah, doubly legends.
Legends. Well, because you think about it, how many people do you get, say, at Fan Day? You get hundreds of people. How do they do the autographs in Fan Day, right? It's kind of like an assembly line. The guys are just kind of walking around and you're just there, right? And it takes a while, but everybody gets a little piece of that, right? I'm not saying that that's the way that they should do it, but I definitely feel like they could have approached it a lot better. And I don't think that they realized how it was going to go.
No, and speaking of which, we do have pictures. Let's bring everybody through
Oh,
the view of the 75th activities from our eyes here.
okay, hold on. Well, talking about that, here's a little picture with.
So this is Wilkie and Warren Moon, and I think this picture was really special. This was actually after we left the autograph line. There's Warren Moon and Wilkie, and I think it's extremely special to see these two talking, just like back in the day. It's so cool to see that they still have that connection, right? And Wilkie was it looked like he was so happy to see him. So I saw that and I was like, dang, that's a moment that I just want to quickly capture. And our oldest Kyle tried to say hi to Warren Moon, and unfortunately Warren didn't quite hear him. A little bit heartbreaking, but yeah.
Yeah, no, it was a pretty special moment for sure. Oh, here's a picture of Scout meeting Warren Moon that
I
he
got
had talked about.
I got to meet Warren Moon. He did sign this jersey that I am wearing right now in silver. It was also really good getting to talk to him for a couple minutes, so that was really cool.
Yeah.
Which
We won't bring up too many pictures, just mostly because we also have to be thinking about people that are just listening to this and not hearing
yes,
us.
very true.
But here's a couple of pictures of just all the signatures that we did manage to get.
Catherine got the signature jersey, Elks Herd 75, with all of these legendary signatures on the back. So with the all gold numbers, looks fantastic.
It looks really good with the green numbers as well. You can't really see it as much, but you definitely capitalized on the shoulder.
Sleeves. I tried to do a bit of a Legends Row thing up there, and then Warren Moon in silver, and then everybody else's autographs were in black on the 5.
Yeah.
Elks managed to grab a really cool tailgate shot with the hashtag meet. We do have that lovely apron for sale, so we do have them for sale on our online store. So really, really cool. And then and then we had the family shot there as well. Okay. So I mean, overall, I think they did really good for the 75 out celebrations as a whole. Getting to see Warren Moon at Century Casino Sports Bar and Lounge on Friday night. It was a dream come true for me to get to hear Warren Moon talk. I was like a little fangirl there in the corner, just kind of chuckling away at everything he said, because you don't know when you're going to see Warren Moon in Edmonton. This is, for him, technically, right, it is a big but small piece of what he does now. It's a big piece of his history, but it's a very small piece of who Warren Moon, the athlete, is. He's an NFL Hall of Fame quarterback.
Right.
He is one of the best to ever do it in the CFL. One of the best to ever do it. So Warren Moon doesn't ever have much of a reason to come back here. He even talked about Warren Moon's cookies. He went back to his old store and everything. I went to go check it out and see what it was. So I mean, he did the whole stroll through Edmonton and enjoyed his time here, but it was cool to see him. It was cool to see so many of these moments. Wish I would have gotten to see Mike O'Reilly, I think, personally, but otherwise, I have no complaints. I think the Edmonton Elks did fantastic. Obviously, the jersey unveiling as well. We heard a lot about the dinner, the 75 dinner. We definitely should have went, but we keep hearing about that 75 dinner. So the Edmonton Elks have outdone themselves on the promotional piece of it. Let's get the wins, which that brings me to question number 2 in the fan forum here. The Edmonton Elks have started the season off with a repeat performance of last year, with a game lost on turnovers and penalties. Is this Edmonton Elks team at risk of starting the season 0-4? And what happens if they do?
Yes, they definitely are at risk. We already talked about what is coming up. We have Montreal, we have Toronto, and we have BC. Rough coming up. So what happens if they do? I think Chris Jones is bye-bye.
Nathan in the Herd chat, before we proceed. Oh man, look at this guy stoked over the moon, you could say. Oh, that was hilarious. That was hilarious. Did we show it on the
No.
we got to show it on the stream.
Oh,
okay. So anyways, getting back to the Edmonton Elks, you're looking at a mid-season reset.
Yeah.
right?
Well, that's what we had last year.
I know, but we had it after 6 games. No, it was mid
Well, it
season
was, yeah,
last
it
year.
was.
This year we're talking about a reset after 4 games.
Mhm.
What changes then? Like, or would they, like, I could see players coming in and coming out. I don't see coaches going quite yet
Yeah, I don't know.
at 4
No,
games.
but I mean, what are the gonna people are gonna yell for? They're gonna scream for Jones's head. You know that.
Right.
All the fans,
Well,
everybody,
we said 6 games. We said
every
6 games this year.
yeah. But I mean, at the sixth game, after this stretch of 4 games that we know are gonna be tough, right? At least maybe at that point you're like, okay, that's a little expected. That we expect those results.
Mhm.
So what happens in the fifth game, right? If the fifth game we also lose it, now that's when it starts like, okay, now you don't have that excuse that you're going up against a tough opponent.
Yeah.
Now there's definitely something wrong,
Well, and I think we have Ottawa back to back
right?
right when we come back.
Hmm.
So, you start your season 0-4. Let's say you start the season 0-4. You got Ottawa. That's your, I hate saying this year after year, but Ottawa is your best chance at winning.
Didn't we say
So,
that last year too?
no, that's what I said every year. We say this every year. The 2 years before
Right.
now. But, you don't want that to be your safety net. Is, oh, we got Ottawa there. Well, we should get a couple wins. And those aren't given either.
Yeah.
The Elks need a win in this 4. If the
Yeah.
Elks don't get a win in this 4, I
Well,
don't know how many more losses Chris Jones's job can take.
what I see happening, because we know that Chris Jones is not shy when it comes to cutting guys that are not performing, right? If we see it that somebody's just not doing their job, I'm pretty
Right.
sure they'll be let go within those
Oh, they
4
will.
games.
Yeah.
So once again, what happens after those 4 games, right? That you don't necessarily have that excuse. It's gonna get to a point that it's at that point you really is it coaching? It's coaching.
Oh, it is. It is
You
coaching, but
know?
that's why I say I don't know how many more losses Chris Jones's job can take. They need a winning season. If they do not have a winning season, Chris Jones does not have a job at the end of the year.
Mhm.
But you need to save this season. It is the 75th season. Your team has been bad throughout the Chris Jones years. The team
Mhm.
has not been good.
No.
There's clearly coaching problems.
Mhm.
We're at that point now. And even like us as fans, I will admit, like it's very frustrating at this point. And please remember, I've been here the whole time through the last
Mhm.
10 years, right? Section X all year, every year for the last 10 years.
Mhm.
Don't know how much more this team can handle losing. And the fan base as well. The attendance only 20,000.
Yeah.
Worst. And I get that the Edmonton Oilers are playing. That's great. It's the 75th. You have the home opener. You have Warren Moon in town. The one thing I said this last season, you got Warren Moon coming to town. Well, you're going to get that upper bowl sold. Unless
Yeah.
the Edmonton Oilers are playing. And if they're playing at this point, it means that they're in the Stanley Cup final.
Right. Yeah.
Hockey is religion in this town.
Mhm.
We know this.
Yeah.
Everybody prays to the hockey gods, that's great. I mean, the Edmonton Oilers are the number 1 in town, rightfully so. But this team needs a bigger crowd. This team needs attendance. John here in the Herd chat, no winning season. Not a lot of season ticket holders will renew. I'll still renew year after year. Well, of course, right? And we have our hardcores. We're hardcore.
Of course.
Lots of hardcores will still renew no matter what. But they're losing hardcores right now.
Yeah, we've said it before. All it takes is winning.
All
All
it takes is winning. Whoops. Yeah, they need wins.
Yeah.
They need wins. They need wins right now. It's very, very frustrating. And that Saskatchewan game was genuinely their best chance in this 4-game set.
So what do you think? What do you think would happen? What happens if they do go 0-4, 0-4?
Well, 0-4, you're looking at players in and out bare minimum.
Mhm.
You're seeing a really, really heavy like the players are gonna go through it worse. They're basically gonna call it day one. It's gonna be a new day one, just like last year, except Jarius Jackson isn't gonna be swapping any spots.
Right.
There's no Stephen
Well, and
McAdoo in the mix.
that's what I was thinking. Like, who's going to be the scapegoat this time? I don't want to call it as. I mean, they were not scapegoats, but somebody had to take the fall. Somebody had to go.
Right.
Right.
And the other thing that needs to happen here too is the players need to walk around with the ball in their hands.
I think I mentioned this last season.
Yes.
When kids get that assignment at school that they have to take care of an egg.
Well, Chris Jones was already making guys do that, though. Chris Jones made Kevin Brown, I think, early last year. Walk around with the ball all practice. But what happened to that? Why are we not doing that more? Or like, Javon Leake with the 2 drops there between preseason and the regular.
He's a little leaky.
Well, just the 2 preseason games, really. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It's very, very frustrating. And I think on that one play, who was it that gave it up? Was it Kevin Brown on the run?
I don't think Kevin Brown did.
No, so who fumbled it then in the fourth quarter then when they were running? It might have been Javon Leake. I want to say maybe.
I know Javon Leake definitely dropped a couple.
Well, no, in the last game though.
Yeah. Might have been. Can't remember.
Yeah. Either way, it's this team needs to exercise the demon still. There is improvement. There is positives. There are good things. As a fan, it's frustrating because you can see how much the team actually has improved. They're right there, but we still find a way to shoot ourselves in the foot.
Well, once again, we have the building blocks. We have, the pedigree on paper. We have the names. We have the talent. What do we do with all of it? Right?
Build a win pie. Make the win pie. Like just get it done, right? So it's coaching. It's going to come down to coaching. Coaching. Defense is good. Defensive line has been playing good. Penalties. Like, once again, ball security and penalties, you can fix those.
Mm-hmm.
You can fix those. And that was their biggest problems in that last game.
Yeah.
Ball security, penalties. Mm-hmm. Then, of course, special teams and, the list goes on. But they don't have that many problems.
Yeah. Their
2 biggest ones is what cost them that game. So it is what it is. We will look forward to Montreal. I'll be cautiously optimistic about it. We know that the tailgate is always a good time. So Stall 182, swing on by, Herdies. We smoke those meats. It's going to be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
But ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time we have for today. We'd like to thank Jake Taylor for joining us on the show. It's always good to talk about football with one of the Double E. I would also like to thank you, the viewer, for tuning in to the show, whether you're watching on YouTube, X, or Facebook, or listening on TuneIn, iHeart, Edmonton Sports Talk, or wherever you get your podcasts. Once again, my name is Scout, a.k.a. the Rev from Section X.
And I'm Catherine, a.k.a. Do You Even Elks?
We are the Elks Herd. This was the Elks Call. We'll see you all on the next episode. Cheers, everybody.
Have a good night.